So a lot of people in the Magic community have thoughts and feelings on a lot of different subjects and hot takes, if you will, about a lot of different feelings about different subjects and things. So here's a couple of mine, a list of, I guess, the biggest ones that I feel or that I've seen in the community and how I feel about them. First off, here's how I feel about Proxies. I've collected a lot of collections and purchased a lot of Magic cards over the course of the 10 years that I've been playing Magic. And I can't deny that I've benefited from selling Magic cards to purchase things. I purchased my car with Magic cards, and I've collected a lot of different collections that have paid my bills, and things of that nature. So I understand the collectability side of things. But when it comes to things like dual lands, anything that doesn't like really progress the game so much, proxy it. I mean, I only proxy things that I own, but I think that proxies, I'm very pro proxy. I think unless you're playing in constructed, competitive tournaments, then you should be able to proxy stuff. I have a lot of commander decks, and I have a lot of cards that are constantly coming through my collection. I'll never proxy something I don't own, but that's my personal feeling on it. As far as other people are concerned, I don't care. Proxy dual lands, proxy, Consecrated Sphinx, Shieldred the Apocalypse, proxy anything you want, It's a game at the end of the day, and we're all here to have fun, and that's my feeling on proxies. Next would be Universes Beyond. Now, I started Magic about 10 years ago before Universes Beyond came out, and I fell in love with Magic. I fell in love with the storyline, I fell in love with the game, the rules, all of the things that made up the, 30 years of Magic. I fell in love with it. It came out when I was in high school, and I really wish that I had played back then. I didn't, which is unfortunate, but I love the Magic storyline. I own every single one of the novels. The lore is amazing. The world building is amazing. And even to go so far as to say that I miss blocks and sets where you could stay on a plane for 2 sets, maybe even 3 sets, and enjoy all of the mechanics and all of the things that came out of Magic sets. I love that. When Universes Beyond came out, I made the very poor decision to take a lot of offense to it. And I needed to grow up as a person and as a Magic player, because Universes Beyond is good and it brings people into Magic, and I really, really support that. However, a large but comes after that, a J-Lo-sized but, if you will. I think that there should only be 2 Universes Beyond sets a year. I think we should go down to 6 sets a year and do 4 Universes Within sets and 2 Universes Beyond sets, because I think the 2 sets that are Universes Beyond should be bangers, like Final Fantasy. If they had done Final Fantasy and Marvel in a year and the other 4 been Magic sets, that would have been perfect. But with 6 sets, you cut out on all of the, the FOMO and the exhaustion of consistent sets coming out all the time, and not being able to afford all of it, which creates the FOMO. But having 2 Universes Beyond sets still brings people into Magic because they're big IPs, and then, the other 4 sets can be Magic sets to keep that world and that progression of deck building and world building secure. Now, as far as Star Trek goes, specifically the Star Trek Universes Beyond IP, I know a lot of people have been very vocal about not being happy with it and not wanting to support it. And they're entitled to their opinion. I wasn't a gigantic fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Magic set. even though I grew up with it as a kid. But I think that if you don't want to support an IP, then you have that right. Just don't buy the wonderful thing about America and some parts of capitalism is we get to tell companies how we feel with our wallets. If you don't feel like you want to support something with your wallet, then don't support it. If you don't think that, Star Trek is worth having a Universes Beyond Magic set, they already made it, so it's a little too late for that. But if you don't want to support something, you don't have to. And that is your right as a consumer and as a Magic player, or even as a content creator. Having said that, I grew up, watching Star Trek, the original, was with my dad growing up, and that was how we bonded. And then, when I was in high school, Next Generation came out, and I loved Picard and his character, and there's a lot of cool things, Deep Space Nine was a really wonderful, storyline, and I love how they utilized the story of what would Star Trek be like if we made it all in one place instead of traveling to a whole bunch of different planets. And the storyline is vast. Like when I grew up with Star Wars versus Star Trek, because that was the big feud between the nerddoms when it came to science fiction. And so I understand that, Star Trek hasn't had a really good go of it lately. The new movies and everything that came out were great when they came out, but that's been a while. And I can understand why people, especially new generations, aren't big or keen on that. But again, I'm sure there are going to be mechanically unique cards in the Magic treatment that are going to be great. And if you don't like any of the new treatments or these signature cards or anything like that, just don't buy them. Don't buy collector boosters. And that way you can tell WotC how you feel with your wallet. But yeah, those are some of my takes. I think that Proxies are great. I think that they should print the reserve list into the ground for some cards and not for others, because accessibility is wonderful, and if you can't buy them, then proxy them. I have no problems with that. And again, Universes Beyond, they just need to slow it down a little bit, make more Magic than non-Magic, and make the Magic that you do, the non-Magic that you do, banger sets. Bring us back to blocks so that we're not spending one set on a plane and then moving to the other, and you can't build a story, you can't build lasting mechanics. And those are my takes. So that's how I feel about things. If you guys have any questions or want to, tell me how you feel about certain cards or comments or any of the takes that I have, feel free to leave a message in the comments. And as usual, remember, drawing cards wins games.